Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Andrew Townsend. I'm the Campaign Marketing Manager here at eLearning Brothers. Today, we're going to be talking about what it takes to create award-winning training. This is going to be a really exciting topic. We're going to be focusing on some of the stuff that our teams have built over the last while that has gone on to win awards. And so we're going to showcase some of those courses and talk to you about what was done and how those decisions were made, in the hopes that you guys can be inspired to make some cool stuff as well. This session will be recorded. We will get a copy of it sent out to everybody who registered, so you can be checking for that in your email. And that way, if you have to drop out or something like that, you'll know that you'll get a copy. If you have questions during the webinar or comments or anything like that, please use the questions panel as part of the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll get to as many of those questions as we can. All right, so we have fantastic guests today. You can see them all there lined up. We've got Richard Vass, our VP of Customer Success, and then some project experts that he's invited, including James Kingsley, Director of Product Development and Design, Christy Callahan, Director of Marketing, and Amber Rodbell, Custom Development Manager. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we're really excited to see what you guys have to share and what you have to showcase. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the time over to you, Rich, and you can lead us down the path of learning.
Right on. Thank you, Andrew, and hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. So Amber and Kingsley and Christy, if you want to kill your cameras, you can. You don't have to just, I always feel just dumb when I'm sitting there looking at the camera and everybody's looking at me. So I'm really grateful to have these three experts with us today. As Andrew mentioned, Christy is one of the directors on our marketing team. Kingsley leads product development for specific efforts and initiatives here at eLearning Brothers. Then Amber's our lead development. She's our development manager for all custom. So we're really lucky to get time from each one of these three today as we're talking through these recent awards that we've won. So I'll have them come on as we talk about each one. We have three here today. Let me show you what we're talking about. Hopefully you can see my screen here. So this particular submission was for LearnX. LearnX Live is, they're an outfit down under. So they're in the other side of the world, down in Australia, New Zealand area. We had the good fortune to first be introduced to them back in 2017. We've done some different awards. I think we all heard of Brandon Hall, the Learning Guild. There's different outfits. Training industry does awards, e-learning industry, there's a million of them out there. But LearnX is, we try to get into other markets, and so we just entered this arena with them a few years ago and won our first award back in 2017, and then we submitted again just recently. So we're really honored to win several awards in this category. Some of you may have heard about this show down there. We may even have some participants on today from down under. So welcome, mates. Great to have you here. So you can see here that really it's about learning and development. That's what they're about. The award focuses on learning and development project that increased performance, ensured employees possess the right level of skills and knowledge in an area of the business that align to the enterprise strategy. So the award submission process is actually fairly extensive. Our marketing team does a great job with that. Stephanie, I think, usually does the writing. I think she did the write-ups on these. And she's actually on moderating today. By the way, we do have some moderators for the questions panel. So as we move along, you do have opportunity to tap into the brains of some of these experts that we have here today on the panel. And so feel free to ask questions. I've told them once they're done with their segment, they can drop off because they're very busy. But these are the awards we won. So again, they were just recent. Platinum is the highest. So we were honored to have 2 platinum awards and then a gold award. The first one we'll talk about is this, it's an AMN Healthcare Award, one of our clients. It was a safety and training project. We'll show you kind of what was cool about it. Amber was very involved in leading that one, so we'll jump into that first. Then Thrive New York City. So the New York City Mayor's Office works on a number of initiatives focusing on mental health. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. Hopefully we'll get some good guidance from Kingsley. He was very involved in building that one. Notice that category was Best Shifted Online E-Learning Design. That was a year-plus project, and working with, we worked with the Columbia University. Our client is the Research Foundation for Mental Hygiene out of Columbia University, and their client was Thrive. And I think you can find this training now living on the New York City Mayor's Office website. Great project. Kingsley will talk us through why we did what we did on that one. We built that straight HTML5. So you can see some of the nuances there that you won't see in like a RISE or other courses. And then the Vanderbilt School of Nursing and eLearning the eLearning Brothers winner for Platinum on that VR project. Christy will be here. She was very involved with the client on this particular project and kind of talk us through some of the nuances there too. That's a cool one. If you haven't seen Scenario VR yet, which is one of the tools that eLearning Brothers offers, it's awesome. So we're trying to do more and more with that tool. So let's jump into this first one here. Amber, if you'll come on, I'm going to have you turn your camera on so we can speak to the masses here. I'm going to click this and launch it. So this is running in our LMS right now. So I'll just kind of bring it up here to show you. This was a storyline build. And a couple of cool things about it. I'll kill the audio here. There is some audio narration that's running. Some basic stuff here that you'll see as we kind of get through it. I mean, it does a great job of kind of just walking through emergency procedures, how to navigate the course, and then we get into, I think we do run some video here, as we're talking through some of the important, policies and procedures around, how to handle. This was really all about, right, Amber, how to handle emergency situations at work.
Yes.
One of the coolest things, and I think the thing that really won the award, was this game board. So I'm hopeful. I can't jump right to it because we got to wait for the video to finish, but this game board option, which has got some animated pieces, allows the learner to actually make choices, roll the dice, step forward, take a scenario, move to the next part of the game board. So stuff like that I think is just great. And look, you get to choose your game piece before you get started. So anyway, I'm going to shut up, Amber, because I think mostly everybody would love to hear from you. What's the best thing we should do? Should I stop sharing? And do you want to actually launch Storyline and show it to us there?
Share my screen. Yeah. Let me.
Okay. Let me.
I'll get the screen over to you, Amber.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Andrew. Okay. Stop sharing. Now you should be able to share, Amber.
Alrighty. On the customs team, we're always super excited when we get a client who wants to do a gamification approach, and we talk through it with them, and it involves a lot of ID involvement, a lot of design involvement in the way that we're going to present the course, and then the developers really dive in and are like, okay, what's possible? With AMN here, what we did is we have some, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, looks great.
Okay, good. So we have some really cool features. Everything is very custom to the individual player that's playing. We have a really push and pull approach. Instead of taking the user on a linear path through an e-learning, we have them enter their name right here. We have them choose the game piece that they want to be. And then we have specific game rules that they follow. And then we have the game board. Now, the game board here was fully customized. It takes a very much a model view controller approach. We have an object-oriented programming involved and have a separate JSON file that takes when the user is going to roll this dice, it turns into a guided randomization. So they're being guided to the 5 different paths on the game board, but every experience for the user is different. So they could come in today and take one path, and then they'll come tomorrow and take a completely different path and have different experiences, because a lot of the experiences on the board here, not every user will get to or go to. So it was fun because we actually added a lot of extra for this client that some users will experience and others will not. And it was really fun to work with the client in that way so that they would understand that, you know, we want our learners to want to do this over and over again and to want to go through this game multiple times. We also have custom scoring, and the client had a leaderboard. So as the individual learners would get different scores, they would go to the leaderboard, and it created a lot of fun for their internal team so that they were playing against each other, and that kind of internal camaraderie out of business is always fun. So this was a super exciting project for us to work on in the custom team and just work with great people. Our ID was fantastic on this and worked with the client to just go through all the different concepts that they had and come to this.
Amber, could you show us just a quick example of the game in motion, or in action, I guess? Is
So
it possible to fire it up here?
From storyline, I cannot. And the reason being is that if we publish to just Articulate Review or publish right here, it actually won't work because the JSON file is added after the fact and it's added into the published file.
I got you. No worries. Okay.
So,
while we're talking here, I'm going to pull it up so we can talk everybody through it here. Let me see.
I mean, you can see on our layers here, we have the dice roll. We have literally your dice, as you roll it, it counts the amount of spaces to the next area and randomizes it every single time.
Yeah, so, I thought that was really cool. I remember when Dan was our builder on this, one of the builders on Amber's team. He slacked me and said, "Check this out, dude. Look at this dice roll." Can I steal your screen share for a minute? I'm going to show mine. Andrew, if you can kick it back over to me, I'll show a couple of screens here. Let's see. Let's make sure I'm showing the right screen. Can you guys see can you see my monitor here?
We could, I think, there you go.
Yep, I see the game inside.
Right, awesome. So I'm going to type in my name. So here's Rich. You can see that I've worked through the welcome, how to navigate, commitment to safety and security, safety alliance. I think we locked this navigation, so I had to kind of click through here while Amber was talking. But now we're here. I click submit, and then now I'm actually choosing some different my part. I'm going to choose my safety vest, and I'm going to click submit. I'm going to get some goals here. I guess some rules. You're going to move around the office. Your game piece is on the start square. You have an opportunity to earn points with the crunch time scenarios, safety challenge squares, and twist of fate. When Amber says our idea was great, this is what we came up with, which I think was just so clever. Which of the safety levels will you achieve? Less than 10,000, you're a novice. 10,000, you're savvy. 12,500, you're a hero. 15,000, you're a ninja. So anyway, let's continue here. And then I think the first thing I do is roll the dice, right, Amber? So I click right here.
Yep.
And we have the first move. Oh, here we go. Now I'm moving. You can see the dice is animating as we're rolling along here. So once I get to the first crunch time, I'm like, oh, okay, well, now it's time for a crunch time scenario. So now I actually move into answering a question. And we actually get a little scenario that's going to play out here. Again, keep in mind, this is a health and safety course. So in this case, we're walking to the office. Randy's chatting on her cell phone. What should you do? Well, do this. No, wrong. Oh, you better try again. What about this one? So great. I get the 500 points. And we got another question here. So click this one. Great. We got another few points. Then we're going to continue on.
All the questions were randomized, and we have a massive bank of questions so that even though the user may only have 10 questions during their experience, each time they could get 10 new questions.
Right.
So our question bank was massive to allow for this and to allow for additional learning every time that you went through.
And you do give the learner a sense of progress by moving along. We want them to get to the crunch time questions and the other questions. So is there ever a time where they're going to miss a question, or they're always going to get to, we're going to guide them, even though it feels like they're sort of being randomly, moving through the game with the dice rolls?
There are 5 areas they will always.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Yeah.
But the way they get to them and the different things that happen between those times will change.
Okay. Yeah, so good point. That's why it could be a different experience every time, like you were saying. Okay, great. So you can see I'm moving along here, answering my questions, and again, just wanted everybody to get a chance to see this. And this is what we got some great feedback on. Do they have a number of chances to get the right answer? And if they get it wrong several times, do we move them along without getting any points? I think that's true, right?
Yeah, you'll see your points. You have 3,500 points. If you get it wrong, you're not getting any additional points.
Gotcha. So
but we did continue to add. We don't subtract.
Yeah, and are these, let's see, these are the crunch time scenarios. Are the orange cones, which ones are, you can see I've done two, does this mean I've done 2 scenarios so far, 2 crunch timers? Are the
Yes.
orange cones, if I land on an orange cone, is that a different type of scenario?
They have different types of, I don't know about scenario, different types of activities based on it.
Okay.
And different ones are timed. There's different cards. There's different things that you can experience and gather.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you can ask your expert and you can review the overall plan and get help with everything too, so that you can get the whole way through. There's
Awesome.
never a time when we didn't want a user to get through. We want them to experience the whole game. But the point is we want them to want to do the game over and over and over again, because there's such a massive question bank that allows for them to have lots of different questions and learning experiences.
Right. Awesome.
So this one
Well,
was
here's
a lot.
There is a comment here. Somebody said that they built a similar game like this, but they didn't know about JSON, so their movements were not randomized. It was all scripted, right?
Right.
That's a cool. That's a cool adjuster. And then there's another question. Who would you give kudos to as the instructional designer?
The instructional designer was Jen Fairbanks, along with Misty Harding. They both, it was their baby, and they spent hours and hours on this, and they did a fantastic job. And the developer, the main developer for this course was Dan Frazee, and our graphics came from our awesome graphic designer, Sean Powell.
Star
Awesome.
team right there.
Yes.
Great shout outs
Sorry.
for our team. This is cool. Twist of Fate card. So it's sort of like I'm playing Monopoly. I get to the community chest or chance or whatever. Well, coming back from lunch, you and Henry notice an unattended backpack. You avoid moving and touching the bag, and you call 911. You get 500 points. Yay! So anyway, that's cool too. But those little things along the way, I think, to keep learners engaged. And if I were at AMN, oh look, now we got this. Now we have an orange cone. So now I'm going to go to the safety challenge and see what this is. So hurricane conditions are in your area. Prior to a hurricane, what's the best thing to do? I'm in Utah, guys, so I don't really have that. But Amber, you're in hurricane territory.
Let's see.
So it must be plan ahead and evacuate early,
Yeah.
right?
We need to, yes. Always evacuate early.
Boom, another quick hit. So you guys can see with the challenge scenarios here, you know, there are 5 of them, and I think we want the learner to get through all of them.
Yes.
And you've got the Twist of Fate pieces, which are just cool. And then the little challenge scenarios along the way, I think are awesome too.
Yes, and
Well,
this
this is
client
great.
was awesome to work with, because a lot of this, they just had some great ideas, and they were like, can't you just make a game? So it was a lot of passion from the client and passion from our IDs that just made this incredible and a really fun experience for everyone.
How long would you say it was, Amber, from beginning to end on this project? How long does it take to come up with something like this?
This project originally, I think, was scoped as a 3-month project, and we ended up being at about 4 months, only because we ended up adding some extra features that we originally didn't plan on. But overall, it made the course like so much better.
Okay. So 4 months to come up with that, which is great.
Yeah.
I know many of our listening audience today might be like, well, that'd be nice to be able to do this, come up with something like that fast. It is tough when you've got, I mean, Amber is managing developers, not only, storyline developers and programmers and graphic artists. Then you've got instructional designers who are on the project. And there's a project manager who is not even on Amber's team, a separate team for us, who's managing all those different pieces and parts. So certainly something our custom team does.
With this course, we actually had, in addition to this, in that time period, we had a Rise course that went along with it. We had other courses that were like snippets that worked with this. I think we may have even had some instructor-led training. So there were a lot of pieces to this project, and this was the gamification piece.
Right.
So we're able to like take on all those different pieces and put it together to give our clients a great learning experience overall.
Phenomenal. All right. Thank you, Amber. That is what I was hoping that you would show us. So I really appreciate it. If you can hang around for a bit, that'd be great.
Sure.
There may be
All
other
right.
questions that trickle in. Otherwise, I know you're busy, so if you got to drop, that's totally fine. But thanks for your time, Amber.
All right, thank you.
We don't often get Amber Rodbell on our webinar like this because, again, she's pretty buried all the time, but we're really grateful to have such talent on our team. As I said, she has a team of 5 or 6, I think, that are constantly just looking at innovative ways to bring stuff to life. And they work with our instructional design team. It's a sort of a waterfall approach, but ideas will storyboard and then you build that out. And then, of course, they're checking with Amber and her team along the way. So great solution. Okay, I'm going to move now to the next one. Oh, hold on, I just launched it again. Hold on a minute, here we go. Okay, now we're going to bring Kingsley on the line to talk a little bit about this New York City Mayor's Office Thrive initiative. This particular course is called Destigmatizing Mental Illness. And this was a long project. Kingsley, I don't think you were on from the beginning. I think it was a year and 3 or 4 months, maybe 15, 16 months. Because there were so many levels of approvals, I think. And things were crazy, as we all know, so it just took a long while. But I think you came on, we'd storyboarded it, I think. There was lots of key concepts that had to be covered here. You can see, guys, this is just a screenshot here. I'm going to bring you out to the course here in a minute, but there's mental health basics, society's role in stigma and mental illness. So understanding stigma, how to reduce stigma, and then resources. And then along the way, there's the learner is getting a chance to answer questions, or they're watching a video, and getting kind of that guided experience. The concept of stigma around mental illness is very, very important. All of us, I think, probably have known people who suffer from anxiety or depression, or a host of other ills that are certainly part of just the human experience. The New York City Mayor's Office, some of you may live in the New York City area and have seen some of this. When we've traveled back in the day when we were traveling, I remember being on a subway in New York and seeing this initiative on one of the signs in the subway. So the Mayor de Blasio, I believe, was trying very hard to take funds that were allocated to help the citizens and residents of New York City just come to a greater understanding about mental illness and just, again, reduce stigma. So let's jump out here and take a look. By the way, it is Kingsley's birthday today. I was going to throw that in there. Happy birthday to you, brother.
Thank you.
You're looking good for 29. So here we go. So this is the site now. The first thing I always love to do is I love to pull this thing down. And as you can see, am I sharing my screen, by the way? Can you see this?
I see it.
Okay, cool. So if I pull this down, you guys can see here that, when you size this, again, it is responsive. So it's going to change based on the size of the screen, which is, entirely an HTML5 build is what we went with here. Kingsley, do you remember why we decided to go with HTML5 as opposed to, say, a Rise or an Elucidate or a Flow? Or was this your suggestion?
There were a couple of reasons for that. One of the reasons was when we started laying out the different types of interactions we wanted and the responsiveness that we needed. When we evaluated the tools that were available, none of them really seemed to fit that. None of them had all the elements that we needed, for each part. Another part was that they have an existing website that this is going into, or that this went into. And so we really wanted to match the look and the feel of their existing site instead of making it seem like, you were being bounced out to this whole other environment by launching a Rise course.
Great point. And there are limitations in Rise for customized look and feel, I guess, right?
Right.
So,
you can change some colors, but you can't really change the menu layout where it's going to be.
Yeah, and so even just this right here across the top was one of the reasons, I guess, for the navigation.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool.
And 508 ADA was a big thing too. And although a lot of the tools are getting much better at that, we just felt like we had complete control of it here. We could tailor it to be exactly what we wanted it to be.
Yeah. Great point. And I remember when we got into the design phase and we finished this project this year. So I think it was early this year, maybe February, March, but we started literally beginning of last year. And there's a lot of instructional design time. There's some amazing experts. As I mentioned, we're working with Columbia University and the Research Foundation for Mental Hygiene there. Lots of very smart people, high-level doctors that were engaging in the content. So I think we spent 6, 7, or 8 months on just the design, just getting it right. Things like this. What is mental health, right? So by the time it came to you, Kingsley, to develop it, and we were, like you said, there was demands really from the New York City mayor's office for the look and feel and some of the things that made us choose to build it right in HTML5.
Right.
But you know, these kind of things you had to build, these little widgets, right?
Yeah, if you'll just like maybe, hit your tab button there. Let's see where you are now.
Did you say the tab button?
Yeah. I want to get over to that slider. Oh, yeah, so maybe I need to get your cursor.
Oh, you mean this one right here?
Yeah. So what I was going to show is how great that works with just keyboard too.
Yeah.
But you have to select it first with the tab. So if you'll highlight, like just click on the word mental right above that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so let me click on mental, let's see, right here.
Sure. Yeah, right there. Now hit your tab. I'm just trying to simulate like if we'd started from the beginning. There you go. Well, no, you hit it.
Oh, then it jumps down to here. Yeah, so it's jumping to, when I hit tab, it's jumping to the next screen. It's saying go ahead and click next to continue. Yeah, I got you.
I'm going to make you do it. I'm going to make you do it. Scroll back up.
Well, hold on, man. I could just give you this and you can show us. Okay, I'll scroll. You can teach me. Okay, I'm scrolling back up.
Okay. Click, highlight. Scroll down.
Here, hold on. Let me just do this, man. Make sure you have the link here. I'm going to kick it over to you.
Oh, okay.
So you've got it. You probably have this link already, but let me kick it over to you and let you share your screen. And then just like Amber did, you could actually walk us through some of the key things that you're talking about. Because what I think that's important for our viewers to see is that part of, I'll stop sharing my screen here, and then Andrew, if you could kick it over to Kingsley to share his screen. I think what you're talking about, which is this concept of being able to, hit your tab key, hit your arrow keys. Now you're navigating the course, not with a mouse, but with your keyboard. And that was one of the key considerations here.
Yeah. All right, well, hopefully you're seeing my screen now.
Yep, we can see your screen just fine.
Awesome. Yeah. So what I was saying is if you're here and you tab down, you can see now it's a little glow around it, so it's selected. And then when I'm not using my mouse, I'm just using the keys on my keyboard to move that up and down in there.
Yeah.
That's an example of the compliance that we put in there. And then also that's just something that you couldn't do in any existing tools. There's not a slider that will change that content. I mean, you might could in Storyline, but then you're going to lose some other things in there. Lectora has something like that, but it wouldn't blend in quite the same with the website. And then, all these were custom built, so we can select more than one of these if we want, and check our answer, and it'll pop up and tell us. There was a few other things in here that really made us look beyond the existing tools as well. Let me get to one of those. If I go to how to reduce.
That was a cool little carousel that you had too, that you could click next, go to different slides right in the body of the email, in the body of the page.
Yeah, and then these, we didn't want them to have to leave the main content there. And so we were lightboxing these, and you can see we have these rather complicated interactions in here where you can select one, check your answer, and then navigate on to the next one. So it's a carousel of questions inside here. And you can see we add a little animation. When I click next, this will kind of slide in there, and then the question pops up in there. So we were building in a lot more interactivity in here than could be provided by most of the tools. The other thing was they wanted to make sure that no matter where a person is in this material, they always have access to this Get Help Now button. And so we wanted to highlight that and make sure that it was right up front there. Yeah. And then they filmed all these videos that we put in there. You mentioned it took a year. I'd say some of that was just being extremely thoughtful about the wording and the images we were using, because we wanted to ensure that we didn't
Yeah, most of that was design. It was a lot of design. I think you had to go through, what does this say up in the URL? It's like version 6 that we're looking at here. That is at our staging site right now. But yeah, I know there's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
So there are a couple questions about that instructional design. Kingsley, you had mentioned that, you know, it's gone through many iterations, and it's took a lot of time. This person says, why does instructional design take 6 to 8 months? I'm lucky if I have 1 month to make a complete course from start to finish. Most of our training has a 1 to 2 week deadline. So the idea that you could spend a year working on, or 6 to 8 months or however long working on your instructional design seems very foreign to most of our audience.
I've been there. I totally get that. My career, I grew up at a financial company and had the same sort of deadlines. This one is it was very unusual. Like the last course Amber was talking about, that AMN healthcare course with the game and the cool safety compliance stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think the instructional design took probably 3 to 4 weeks. But you're right. I mean, internally, you're taking a lot more time, a lot less time, because you've got so much on your demanding your time so quickly to deliver things so fast. I think the reason why this took forever is because of the layers of government, to be honest. That's what it felt like. We had to get approvals through the university, who would then roll that up to the city. And there were many layers of approval there. I think the mayor's wife was weighing in on, she was the final stakeholder. That's what really took so much time. We would do an alpha review for the storyboard, and we would take a month getting feedback, and then do a beta review for the storyboard and take 2 months getting feedback. And then you guys all know how that goes. You're ready to start building it, and then another stakeholder comes in and changes it again. So
yeah, I would say
the scenarios here that you look at the difference between public stigma and self stigma, which I thought, again, very thoughtful approach to mental illness.
Yeah, and I would say this, like you just mentioned, this was a highly unusual course, if you will. So that's why we had so much time we had to take that time for it. Yeah. But whoever asked that question is spot on. Usually it's, we need this tomorrow.
We've been there. I mean, all of us here have worked inside of organizations where we've been internal instructional designers and developers, and yeah, you feel that pressure. You got to move it fast. This one took a while, but again, I think the final product came out really nice. So you've got something here that literally can run on anything. Kingsley, the ability to build something like this in HTML5, I think you did pretty much all the tinkering and building. You might have had some help, but it takes a pretty high level of proficiency to be able to do something like this, I would imagine.
Yeah, so just to talk a little bit about the technology that we use behind the scenes for it. So if you are in the web development world, you may already recognize that there's some Bootstrap in this. So we use Bootstrap, which is an open source library that helps with responsiveness, style, certain things. It's an extremely popular library, so you can find some pre-built components for, let's say, tabs or radio buttons and that kind of stuff. And then, of course, you have to start customizing those to make them work how you want to. So we have Bootstrap in this, and we're using jQuery, which is a JavaScript library that just really kind of normalizes a lot of JavaScript stuff, helps you write less code. So instead of having to write out 10 lines to hide one tab and show another, with jQuery, you can just write out maybe just 2 lines to say hide and show in there. So jQuery it's built on top of JavaScript. It's just a bunch of JavaScript pre-written for you. And so we use both of those in there. And then a few other things. If I'm still sharing my screen, I can just pull up. So here is like the code for the index page. And you can see, actually, I think I have, so for that home page, there's almost 1,000 lines of HTML in there. And then that's not counting the JavaScript that we have inside of it too. So for the JavaScript, we have 633 lines of JavaScript in this file. There might be some others. And you can see, for instance, there's that word animate. So that's built into jQuery, lets us create some basic animations without having to write all that stuff from scratch in there.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
This is great, man. Thank you, Kingsley. I'm really glad to get your time here on this.
Sure.
We may have gone deeper than some of us wanted to go, but this is a great example. Last course was Storyline. No, that's not on you. I'm just saying that just for some of you, I guess nobody knew that we were going to show you a course that was entirely built in HTML5.
Yeah.
And so that's what, there's the reason for that. There's a time for that, I guess, when you have to do that. Certainly this was the case here.
Mhm.
So we want to do more of this type of work, but it does create it requires a skill set that when you pass this off to your end client, let's say you guys, anybody on the call today, when you're building for your end client, whoever that may happen to be, either you're going to maintain it going forward or they're going to maintain it. This would be a little tougher for somebody to maintain on their end unless they had HTML5 experts, which I don't know that they have. So,
well,
anyway.
Eventually these tools are going to start merging some, and we're going to see some tools that have more capability for responsiveness online, some course development tools.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
We have one audience member that says that they're feeling resource envy.
I get that too, man.
Well, we're available as a resource. So
we're available. And I know it's one of the resource constraints is budget to be able to hire an external firm, but we always try to make it work. All right, Kingsley, thank you very much. We'll let you keep enjoying your birthday. Okay. So yes, let's jump right to Christy now. So this is the next screen here. Christy, it looks like you've got your screen up. Are you sharing now?
Yeah, it said to make me the presenter. So can you see my
Perfect.
screen?
Yeah, Andrew's on top of his game. So Christy, our director of marketing, has worked very closely with this client and using this scenario VR technology, this virtual reality technology. So I'm excited for everybody to get a closer peek at this. So take it away, Christy.
Thank you so much, Rich. Yeah, as Rich said, I'm Christy. I'm Director of Marketing at eLearning Brothers. And today, where goes my screen? Hold on a second. There we go. I'll be sharing just some highlights of how our fantastic clients at Vanderbilt University used Scenario VR. And for those of you who don't know, John Blackman, that's his baby, that's his product. So they conquered the impossible. They affordably scaled up ultrasound training at the School of Nursing's to support the School of Nursing's growing enrollment. And this incredible learning program not only won a Platinum LearnX Award for best use of VR hard skills for a training project, it has also been shortlisted for the ultra prestigious International Learning Technology Awards for best use of simulations in virtual environments. And the final winner will be announced next month, so please wish us luck. I'm really hoping that we win. So you probably all know what ultrasound is. It's one of the most significant contributions in our time. And it's also an essential hands-on skill, which requires traditional methods of training and lots of in-person teaching. The core training in an academic setting requires a hybrid format of both classroom training and then hands-on exposure in a clinical environment to achieve competency. And you know, you'll see, we'll get into this, but it can be actually expensive to do this hands-on training and hard to coordinate. So yeah. So really the business challenges when you have growing enrollment, that traditional instruction is effective in a clinical setting in person, but financially and logistically, it's not always feasible. For one, you are dealing with, the industry standard really dictates a ratio of no more than 3 or 4 students to 1 faculty member. So that's really how you get the best results. And then machines themselves are very expensive. So a machine can cost about $85,000 a piece, and if you have growing enrollment, you have to buy a whole bunch of machines. There's also a cost to hiring humans, human models in terms of time, and they have normal pathology, so you're not really seeing what's wrong with them when you're scanning them with an ultrasound. And then the size of the training location is also an issue because you have to support large numbers of students. And then it's all very difficult to coordinate between the faculty and human models and everything like that. So it can be a pain to pull it together and expensive. So the net is, there's actually no unified approach to teaching the methods of ultrasound. So it would be very difficult to develop a national straightforward standard of how everybody has to train it, because each specialty that you use ultrasound for has a unique set of skills and focus that they want to do. So, content experts have varied avenues and degree of training which can impact the learner. So on average, course enrollment is capped at around 30 to 50 students to accommodate the logistics and space. But even so, supporting the enrollment with lots and lots of students makes traditional training methods very difficult. So in actuality, to support the growing enrollment at the School of Nursing with traditional training, it's probably going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, because between machines and staff, human models, space, everything pulled together, it's very expensive. So the other problem too, when you do traditional training methods, is that you have a lot of barriers to really seeing how somebody uses the ultrasound equipment. It's very difficult nowadays, especially too, because you have to deal with social distancing and COVID and a lot of problems like that. So yeah, that's definitely an issue. So why virtual reality? Well, it solves a lot of logistical problems. It can recreate the hands-on learning experience, whether you're viewing it on your phone or on a computer, and obviously a headset is the most realistic way to experience it. But it's interactive and it's engaging, and it really emphasizes key concepts of orientation, hand placement, the mechanics, how you see the ultrasound image and the anatomy of your human model, and you can repeat it. You could always go back, whereas in person, you're probably not going to retain all the information. The other thing that's nice about virtual reality is that it's very economical when you consider what it would cost to hire more teachers and buy more equipment, and you have a better view of hand placement on the device and the positioning of where you need to stand. It's also not an isolated, fleeting moment, so you can keep going back into the environment to understand it as many times as you want, and it's safe. COVID friendly, social distancing and all, so you can interpret multiple scenarios and patient conditions without having to find human models, and then you can get a better view of the screen from all different kinds of positions. So there were 3 videos that were used to capture this. Everybody says that immersive learning is complicated and too hard to film, this and that. It's really not. So first we had a spherical video, which is placed opposite the clinician at eye level, and that gives us a subjective eye of the student. And then you also have your video output captured onto the HDMI, through the HDMI connector onto a DVR. And then they put on the ceiling, they put a camera that gives you a top-down type of view of the patient. And then they took some stock photos and overlined them on top of the patient, so they're positioned. So for example, this woman here is having a baby, you can see all of her organs when they put the images on top of them. And I'll show you what that looks like. So here we had 3 videos, and using Adobe Premiere, they were all precisely synchronized. So your first video was of the clinician's actions in the spherical view, and then the second video was the ultrasound output, and then the third video was that top-down view I was talking about. And this created a combined video which shows the orientation of the patient, machine, clinician's hand placement all together, and in a very readable, annotated type of format. And then the video was just chopped up into 3 little segments, so you had 3 mini videos, and they were saved in equirectangular MP4 format, and they were then each uploaded into Scenario VR as individual scenarios. The course was built in Scenario VR. It's kind of what it looks like. And it's a super user-friendly tool. It's actually, if you've ever used any sort of course authoring tool, this is essentially the same thing. The only difference is that your Canvas, instead of being a course slide, you're looking at adding interactivity to a 360-degree photograph or video. So it's a very similar concept. And then in this case, we use 360-degree videos, and then the course was just published to HTML5 for students who didn't have a headset. And then it was also could be viewed on Oculus Go, and then in the Google Cardboard environment, which, is not as great as the Oculus Go, but it's cheap and very easy to find. So the other thing that was really nice about it is that you can annotate things in Scenario VR, and you create the course like this. So they used a lot of circles and showed where the organs were placed. You can go back and look and start to learn this. The hand placement is also easier to see from the top-down view, because sometimes the patient's body covers up the hand placement, so you can see it by moving around when you go into the course. And then you still have Dr. Susanna Rudy that teaches this course. You can still hear her instructions when you're taking it. So just to summarize, this was a pretty big business challenge that was solved. We went from changing this format which would normally cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars into an immersive learning environment. And you can train more students in this program, support a growing enrollment, without having to purchase 5 new machines. So just 5 new machines before you start looking at labor costs of hand models and professor's time. It's about nearly $500,000. So, and then of course, we didn't, at the time when they were creating this, they didn't know there would be a global pandemic, but this course is very safe to provide to students in an off-site location, and they can learn. So this has a lot of potential for the Vanderbilt University School of Nursing to create really a universal standard for how to train with ultrasound through virtual reality. And you can really templatize this for any type of specialty. So a lot of the different medical professions use ultrasound, and you can customize it any way you want. And then this type of a course is also great because it improves access to quality care in third world countries where people can train on this, and some places where you have remote access facilities that don't get into a clinical setting very frequently. This could be super helpful. And overall, I think that this really has a huge global impact on improving patient outcomes. So, and this type of stuff, any sort of VR course is doable from our custom team. And if you attended ELBX Live, I'm sure you can appreciate what goes into that. So, and that's about it. So over to you, Rich.
Thank you so much, Christy. That's awesome. I'm going to share a video that I found, a scenario here. Let's see, make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Can you see this running here, Christy?
I can. Yep, that's Dr. Rudy right there. Yeah.
So this is the video that's running. You guys, can go to scenariovr.com, case studies, and you can kind of just see this. This is a 6-minute video, but I guess she teaches the whole time. She's superimposed there, and then can the learner choose from the menu to see what they want to see? They can jump around a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. They can go in and bounce around, and normally I would be going into the course, but I think that there are some privacy rules for HIPAA and where there's patients in there. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to show, so.
No worries. Well, yeah. I hope this is okay. This is sitting on our website, so
okay. This is a show. Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool because it does, like you said, it definitely provides. Here's the expert who's going to allow. It could just be a talking head, and she is a talking head for a lot of it, but. You allow the learner to choose, like, let me jump back here. What I think is really compelling is this right here. If I'm the learner and I'm like, okay, well, I want to see how to, I want to do an ultrasound on the lungs, the rib cage, the left kidney, whatever, I can choose that. And then she'll walk me through it, but I'll be able to see it in a virtual reality kind of a situation.
Absolutely.
So-
And you could see too how those sketches on top of that top-down camera view, like behind the patient's bed, that's how they took these stock photos and then it did it like a little overlay on top of
You're talking about right here, yeah. Like this is showing the rib cage or whatever. They can
Yeah.
drop that right over. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Very
And-
innovative solution.
Yeah, and who knew this would be this so helpful, particularly during a pandemic, because this was really created initially for reasons due to cost. But when you have a pandemic, what happens is that you were really limited in your clinical space and clinical settings.
Right.
So and then it becomes even harder to coordinate. So then you really have to rely on this type of a setting and immersive learning to get close. And for students, and apparently when students were interviewed about this, because we put together videos of students talking for the LT award submission, they were saying that they felt bad for students who had to learn without virtual reality because holding the probe and standing near the patient is such a large part of learning how to do this.
Sure. Yeah, so I think that's amazing feedback. And then the fact that as a learner, I can click and just drag around this whole scene and scenario and see what's happening at any given time. I have some control as the construction is happening. It does feel like I'm sort of right there, which is really what VR is designed to do. So
Absolutely.
groundbreaking. So you can see that she's starting to, do the ultrasound. I could come over here, see what's happening, come back and see the sketch version. It's a real sense of exploring with the actual expert along the way. It's kind of a very cool application for virtual reality here.
Yeah, the other thing too, I think I might have forgotten to mention is that especially in an in-person training environment, you only get certain types of ailments that you can see. So you can kind of load in as many different things to diagnose as possible when you're using this type of learning strategy.
Right.
Yeah, because your
Well,
exposure
awesome.
is limited in a clinic. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, Christy, thank you so very much. I think that's
Cool.
Thanks everybody for joining. Thanks out all of our presenters, James, Amber, and Christy. This has been phenomenal, and we'll see you guys all next time.
Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe.